Okay, well, we've got another question here, which I suppose in some respects is along the same lines. Do you believe in the notion that history is written by the victors? And consequently...
Well, don't tell him what the upshot of that is.
No, I was going to say, and consequently, what does that mean?
Yeah, sorry.
And consequently, what does that mean for history, as we understand it?
Just that stuff's written by the people who won it, type thing.
Won what?
Won whatever they did.
But what yeah. But
Well, if it's a war, the ones who won it wrote it. But of course you're going to do that. That's what you do, isn't it? You shout about it if you win something. If you lose, you go, oh, don't talk about that, it's depressing.
No, doesn't mean that at all.
Or because they're not around.
Well, it means very often if someone has conquered a nation or set up a dominance somewhere, that they keep an eye on what goes out, what's propaganda or whatever, or what's taught in schools,
But it's even more significant than that, because it comes down to the very, very minute pieces of information that we see in every walk of life. Prior to black people having their freedom when they were slaves, history, or the history of black people, was not being written by black people. Therefore, it was always seen through white eyes, which often explained, justified, or excused, or dismissed, or didn't even mention many of the abhorrent things that happened. So it's hugely significant.
I suppose you can bring out 2 books. There's loads of books, isn't there? I brought one out. If I can get one out, let the losers bring one out. Is what I mean. Just let everyone have a book, and then you decide. Let people decide which one they want to read. I think they did it with some story where it was like you decide the end.
Okay, that was largely a pointless exercise, wasn't it?
He's got no idea. Carl, do you believe that the future is fixed? Do you believe that your life unfolds as a matter of destiny?
I've heard something about this, where there's some system that it is laid out for you. And even if you want, say if I wanted chicken for my tea, I really fancy having chicken. But when I get to the supermarket, the fella goes, we haven't got any chicken, you're having beef. They say that was already laid out for you, and that day you were having beef. No matter what happened.
Fatalism. There's a slightly more attractive theory called determinism, where they say it's not
that's
so much.
If you want chicken, you'd go to the next supermarket and you'd go, well, I'm going to find it.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're determined in that sense. Like you're definitely going to have chicken tonight. It means that it was determined, as in predetermined. But all determinism basically says is that it's not whether you can choose. It's whether you can choose your choice, because it's to do with brain states, and we think we have the illusion of free will because you go, oh, I have a drink, oh, I fancy Coke, but something in you happened that meant you wanted Coke.
Well, this is weird, right? Because do you know how I've been in hospital, having me kidney stones done and what have you? Well, as they do in hospitals. And this is why I don't like going in them.
Did I just try and explain determinism to Karl Pilkington?
Yeah, I didn't want to stop you, but...
I mean, what am I thinking?
It just made you look more of an idiot than
I
him.
know, exactly. Yeah, I feel stupid.
But I'm in hospital, right? And like I've said to you, the annoying thing is when you're in hospital, they didn't just have a play about with the kidney. Whilst they're there, they're fiddling about with other bits, right? And they're like, oh, let's have a
That's
feel.
libelous.
No, but that's what they do. Whilst you're in, let's have a, prod about. They took some blood, right? And they said to us, now the weird thing is, these kidney stones you had, it was probably caused by too much calcium, right?
That's what they are. They're a calcium build-up where you're not flushing it out, and so it's...
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is I don't like having cornflakes. So what I'm saying is, what you were just saying there is your mind or whatever. I've asked you before, I don't know what's in charge, but say like...
You don't, do you?
Say like when I get up in the morning, normally Suzanne will have some Rice Krispies, and she's like, do you want some? Right? Just have some. And I'm like, no. Now that isn't me saying no. That's the calcium, that's my body going, I don't need any milk, don't give me milk, I'll have a crumpet.
Now bear in mind, Rick, that in the space of 3 minutes, we've gone from your definition of determinism to him having a lovely crumpet for breakfast. There's no one else in the world you can have a conversation with where you can make that distance that quickly.
But it is interesting how my body... Have you ever had it, right? Sometimes I can go ages.
No, your body lied to you, because your body said you don't need water, you don't need water, you don't need water.
No.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like today before I left, Suzanne said, "What do you want?" Straight away I said, "I need some leeks." Now, that operation I've had has obviously taken out whatever the leeks give me. I'm lacking on that.
See, I think he probably has it more than the rest of us, because I think he uses his subconscious more than us. We think about stuff. He is like the leech that is going on chemical memory. Yeah. Oh, he's only gonna rain it down.
That jingle there signifying, of course, once again, another reading from the Diary of Karl Pilkington. Now, of course, for those of you who have not been keeping abreast of Karl's medical complaints, just bring us up to speed, Karl. You had to go into hospital this week, because previously you'd had...
I've been in and out, honestly, I've been in and out of that hospital, just with kidney problems, really painful and what have you. And,
he had kidney stones, alright?
No, but seriously.
Monday. I had a bit of a lie-in today because I have to get up early for me operation tomorrow. Not only have I got to have tubes shoved up me knob, but I also have to get up at 5:50. Suzanne said I could have what I want for my last dinner. It's not your last dinner, you're going for an operation.
Yeah, but you can't take things for granted these days.
Oh,
I had shepherd's pie and peas. Suzanne made it from scratch. As nice as it was annoying. 'Cause making stuff from scratch means loads of pots, and it's my job to do the washing up. So much as the food was nice, there was loads of pans and that. People who get their last dinner on death row don't have to wash up. Got up at 5:55. You were supposed to be getting up at 5:50 on the other page. You were 5 minutes late getting up.
He's often late.
Often late.
No, just because I needed to have water. Before 6 o'clock, they said, don't have anything after 6.
We'll get up at 5:50 then, like you were planned to.
Don't
You're having 5 minutes sleeping.
Doesn't take 10 minutes to have water, though, does it?
Well, why did you say 5:50 in the first time?
Because then it tricks me head, doesn't it? Going, I had an extra 5 minutes.
Tricks me head. Because then it tricks me head.
It. Got to the hospital and had to wait in the waiting room. There was another 9 people in there waiting to be sorted. I got called in. They sat me on a bed and took all my details down. 5 minutes later, I'd been knocked out. I got woke up when they were ripping a pipe out of my throat. I felt more rough this time. The doctor came to see me and said he couldn't find a stone, so I must have passed it. I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, we filled your kidney with water and expanded it, and there was no hiding place." I sat in the recovery room for an hour while they found me a bed. One of the fellows who was sat in the room with me this morning got wheeled in. They couldn't wake him up. All the nurses were laughing because he didn't want to wake up. I bet they were laughing at me when I was in the theatre. Someone told me they totally strip you when they're operating. I would have looked like the alien on the Boswell incident.
Boswell!
It's quite a nice analogy if it weren't for the fact that you said Boswell.
It's
the Roswell incident. Didn't sleep much through the night because there was a 60-year-old fella shouting at the nurse about his pillows. I don't think I slept through a full hour with one thing or another going on. My bed was next to the toilet, so I kept hearing the flush.
How do they sleep in hospitals, though? They wake you up to give you fucking sleeping pills and things, don't they? How do you sleep in there? It's always hot. It's always like 90 degrees.
There's no air.
Is that to make you drink water?
I don't know what it is. There's no air. There was an old fella across from me who kept breaking wind. He didn't even try and cover it. He was just of that age where he didn't care. Just like, that's what I do. I'm in a hospital, leave me alone.
What do you mean?
Just, I don't know what was wrong with him. I talked to him because at first I felt sorry for him. I was a little bit like, he's had no visitors. No one's calling him up, so I'll talk to him. But then he got that familiar with me that he'd just be doing it whilst I'm chatting to him. Just like he's my granddad or something. It's just like, oh, that's what he does. It's like, well, I'm ill as well. Stop doing that. Honestly, unbelievable. He didn't even try and cover it with a cough. It was just like, that's...
With a cough! How would you cover it with a cough?
Just non-stop.
Got home and sat down. My pains are coming back, but the doctor said this would happen and that my insides are still in shock, so I need to take it easy. It's 9 o'clock. I'm in agony. I can't do the diary for the rest of the day.
Jesus.
So you may as well just tell us then what happened.
Right, well, yeah, after that, went back in. Suzanne just got frustrated with me because I was rolling about on the floor and she was trying to watch Arthur, right? So that was on the other night.
I thought it was when you lodge her.
So,
and she said, look, if you're in pain, do something. She said,
You went and got a cold plate. Yeah.
No, use an ashtray. Plates are for liver damage.
She said, right, come on, let's, I can't put up with this. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we left the flat and what have you, got in a taxi. He filled up on the way, which was annoying.
He didn't.
That
He
is
did.
cheeky.
That really, I mean, he could
On
see
the
us
way
in
to the
pain.
hospital.
So,
Because he's not an ambulance driver.
Did you explain that to where you
no,
were going
I
to?
was in that sort of thing where you just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? I was in a sweat and
He
stuff.
came back with a scratch card and some barbecue.
briquettes. Yeah.
So anyway, he gets us there and he doesn't charge us, which is pretty decent. Of him.
That's all right, yeah.
So I go in, and there's like, I don't know if you've been in like A&E at like
Grim, I imagine.
2:30 in the morning. It's
Oh.
just depressing. Fluorescent light doesn't help because it makes everyone look iller than they actually are. So in there was a woman who was just sat there crying. She wasn't holding onto any part of her body. She was just sat there whinging. And when you're feeling bad, you've got that going on. So you just want to tell her to shut up. There was a fella who was like moped over in a wheelchair that someone had just chucked in.
Moped over.
It looked like somebody had just sort of found him and wheeled him in.
Nurse? Who's the guy moped over?
So this gay fella came through. And,
How do you know he was gay?
just the way he was. I'm not having a go. He was a good fella. Do you know what I mean?
A doctor, you mean?
No, he was a nurse.
Right.
And he came through and just sort of went, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I've had better days." So he got
As
me
you
on
mentioned in the diary, I remember the first time when I came here, they said the nurse might put a tablet up my arse. I thought the chances of that happening had just increased.
Oh, Carl!
Yeah, but I would have let him do it. Honestly, I was that sort of out of it. That
Of course you'd let him do it. He's a qualified nurse.
No, but the way I am now, say if it was just a tablet for sorting out my blood pressure, and I walked in there and he went, "Oh, hello," and he said, "Yeah, let's pop that." I'd go, "Hang on a minute." But what I mean is that night I would have just let him put 3 up. Honestly, it's just weird, isn't it? How your body just goes, let him get on with it, and you trust anyone, don't you? When you're in that much pain and you need,
And they're a qualified nurse, yes.
they gave me some morphine, and my sort of head caved in again like last time, and then the pain went. But anyway, just turns out that I'd had a load of like blood clots in the bit from my kidney to my bladder, and that was acting as a sort of a stone again.
No, it's just,
So
it's
that's
just
what-
a scab, isn't it, where it's curing it. So.
No, but all the work, when they blew up the kidney 4 times its normal size, so there was no hiding place for the stone.
Yeah.
So when they did that, it caused a lot of blood. It must have ripped the sides of it and stuff. And then that blood was in the kidney, and it went down the pipe and blocked it up a little bit. And that's the pain that I had. It was sort of, had problems getting through all this thick blood that they caused.